Good day friends. Today we will discuss about site clearance in building construction. Whenever you start new construction of a building, the first thing you have to do is site clearance. So site clearance being the first step, we will discuss about how the site clearance is done, how you have to calculate or estimate the amount which is required to be spent upon clearing a particular site, and we will discuss about the cost of site clearance as per CPWD length schedule of rates. So first thing you should know is what is site clearance. So site clearance, it represents the first critical phase in every construction project, setting the foundation for all subsequent building activities. The, this process involves systematically removing existing obstacles to create an efficient working space for construction operations. So proper site clearance significantly impact project timelines, budgets, and safely outcomes. So whether it is being done for greenfield developments on previously underdeveloped land or brownfield projects involving existing structures, through site clearance creates the clean slate necessary for successful construction. So there are two types of site clearance. One is where already some structure is existing and you have to remove that existing structure to start a fresh and new construction, or there may be some greenfield development on previously underdeveloped land which you have to clear. So this presentation will explore the essentials of site clearance, required equipment, and associated cost according to the latest CPWD schedule of rates. So first thing you should know is what is site clearance. So site clearance, it is basically the first construction phase, and the first thing you have to do is the removal of obstacles. So the systematic process of removing all existing impediments from a construction site before building activities can commence. This is called site clearance, means removal of all types of obstacles. So site clearance precedes all other construction activities and establishes the foundation for proper building development. So what is involved in this site clearance? It includes vegetation removals, demolition of existing structures, excavation of unsuitable materials, and site grading to create ideal building conditions. So site clearance creates a safe, accessible workspace for construction teams while ensuring proper foundation conditions. It transforms raw land or previously developed sites into a prepared canvas ready for the new constructions. So now we will discuss what is the importance of site clearance. So why it is necessary. First thing, for ensuring safety, you need the site is clear so that you can start the construction. So it removes hazards and creates a secure environment for construction personnel and equipment operations. So second thing, so if there are any obstacles which may affect the construction process, thereby delaying the project, so it will prevent the construction delays. So it addresses potential obstacles before they can impact the project timelines, minimizing costly interruptions. And third thing, it enables the construction companies, construction personnel to have proper foundations. So it establishes suitable ground conditions necessary for structural integrity and building longevity. And in the end, and the fourth thing, which is most important, it facilitates drainage system. So it creates proper condition for installing effective water management system essential for site stability. So through site clearance, thorough site clearance also enables accurate site planning and layout, creating clean state necessary for construction activities to proceed efficiently and according to the specifications. So how the what are the things which are involved in site clearance? So in this slide we will discuss about the site clearance process overview. First thing is whenever you have to do the process of site clearing, you have to do site evaluation. Site evaluation means you have to comprehensively assess the existing conditions and you have to carry out the surveying of the site. So for that, to start the site clearance process, you need permits and approvals. In certain cases, you need to obtain necessary permissions from the legal and competent authorities before the site clearance process is started. And then the process of site clearing started in which you have to remove the vegetations, so clearing trees, bushes and obstacles from the site, and then you have to remove the hazardous materials. First, for removing the hazardous materials, first thing is you identify the hazardous materials if available on the site, and then you have to safely remove them. Then there may be you for proper leveling of the site, you may need excavation, you may need grading, and thereby preparing the site for the construction to be started. So the site clearance process concludes with the preparation of utilities for infrastructure installation, followed by final inspection and verifications that site meets all requirements for construction to begin. So now we will discuss in details and each and every part. First thing you have to do is site evaluation and surveying. For site evaluation, first thing you have to check the documents. So document existing conditions. So thoroughly record the site's current state through photographs, videos and written documentations to establish a baseline and identify potential challenges. Then according to the documents available with you or the plans available with you or the boundaries of the site, you have to mark these boundaries properly on the site. So second thing you have to do is mark the property boundaries. So you precisely establish and clearly mark the legal property lines to prevent encroachment issues and ensure all works occurs within the designated area. And in certain cases where large or rise buildings are to be constructed, you need soil testing before any work is to be done for calculating its load bearing capacity or then and having any potential contamination to determine the necessary treatments and foundation requirements, then you need to have soil testing in certain cases. Then you have to carry out the topographical assessments. So it creates you have to create a detailed contour maps to understand drainage patterns, identify elevation challenges, and plan appropriate grading operations. So this evaluation phase also includes identifying underground utilities and conducting environment impact assessment to ensure compliance with the regulations and prevent costly surprises during construction. Then, what are the permits and legal requirements before the work is to have to be started? So there may be different types of permits which are needed for the construction to be started. First thing is you need clearance from the municipal or local authority, which is called municipal clearance. It is the issuing authority is the local government. So the purpose is to have general construction authorization from the local authorities, which means you need to get the plan approved from the local authorities. Generally, these are the municipal corporations, or in certain cases, there may be certain some development authority, which may be the legal authority to permit the approval of plan. Then, in certain cases, you may need a environmental compliance for which you have to deal with the environmental agency. Uh, so, in where you need to ensure ecological protection, you need environmental compliance also. And certain cases where there is involvement of removal of trees, you may be needing permission from the forestry department for authorization for tree removal and vegetation clearance. And in certain cases where the building, where there is a certain building already used on the site, you may need demolition permit from the authorities so that you are able to safely remove the existing structures. And then for waste disposal, you may need permission from the sanitation department for proper handling of construction debris. So additional permits may include traffic management plan, approval for sites adjacent to the busy roads, and the noise ordinance compliance documentation for urban areas. So all permits must be secured before site clearance activities can legally commence. So second thing as we have already discussed is vegetation and tree removal. So there may be certain vegetations and trees available at the site which you need to remove. So for, first you have to decide about the clearance approaches, that how you have to clear these vegetation and tree. So selective clearing preserves valuable vegetation while removing obstacles, maintaining ecological balance and natural erosion controls. So complete clearings provides maximum workspace but requires comprehensive erosion control measures. Proper techniques include directional tree felling to minimize damage to the surrounding areas, followed by efficient stump removal using grinding or excavation methods. Then, in certain cases, you may have to conserve the certain trees, so you need conservation strategies in these cases. So topsoil conservation is critical during the vegetation removal. The nutrient-rich upper soil layer should be carefully stripped, stockpiled separately, and protected from erosion for later reuse in landscaping. So debris in management of options include on-site mulching of similar vegetation, processing timbers for lumber when economically viable, and recycling cleared material through appropriate channels to minimize landfill impact. So protection methods for preserved vegetation include established clear barriers around the root zones, avoiding soil compaction near retained trees, and implementing proper irrigation during the construction process. Then the third thing, as we have already discussed, is hazardous material removal. So, or if there is a certain hazardous material available at the site, then how you have to manage that material. First thing you have to do is the assessment through inspections and material identification, that how much quantity and which type of hazardous material is available at the site, and then you have to carry out proper isolation and packaging of hazardous materials. Means you have to do some certain follow certain protocols for containment of these hazardous materials, and in certain cases you may need license from the competent authority for license for disposal of transport and disposal of these certified these hazardous material by the certified specialist. And then It may be that you have to maintain comprehensive record for regulatory compliance. So common hazardous materials encountered during site clearance include asbestos in older buildings, lead-based paint, petroleum contamination, and various industrial chemicals. So proper identification is crucial as each requires specific handling procedures. So worker safety measures during remediation must include appropriate personal protective equipment, decontamination protocols, and regular air quality monitoring to ensure health and regulatory compliances. So next thing is that you may need excavation, and then the excavated earth has to be moved. So first thing you have to do is removal of unsuitable soil. So excavation of organic, expensive or contaminated soil has to be removed. Then for creating proper grades and for construction drainage, you may need site elevation establishment by earth moving. Then in certain cases you may have to cut and fill operations for the earth, thereby balancing the excavation with the required fill areas. And once you have, if you have done any filling, then you have to do compaction on that part. Means soil compaction is to be done for stabilizing the soil to support the structure and prevent the settlement. So proper earth moving operations must incorporate effective erosion control implementation, including cell fences, temporary seeding, and sediment basins to prevent environmental damage and comply with the regulations. The final phase includes installation of primarily preliminary drainage systems to manage water flow during the construction process, preventing site damage and ensuring stable working conditions. Then how the site has to be prepared. Site preparation completion is to be done. First, final grading. So, precise leveling to match the engineering specification has to be done. Then you may need to do soil stabilization so as to that there is no erosion. So you may have to apply certain methods to prevent erosion by doing soil stabilization. Then you have to identify locations for upcoming installation, that you have to mark these locations, which may be called utility marking. And then you have to create temporary roads for construction vehicle. Means you have to provide access to the construction vehicles during the site preparation. So completing site preparation also includes establishing perimeters, security through temporary fencing or barriers to protect the site from unauthorized access and potential liability issues. This phase concludes with a comprehensive site cleanup and verification that all clearances requirements have been met. A thorough trial inspection requires that all site specifications in the construction documents are fulfilled and is properly prepared for the next phase of development. So now we will discuss about what are the equipment which are required for site clearance. First is project scale considerations. So equipment selection must match with the site and the complexity of the clearance operation, from small residential projects to the large commercial development. So you need to, first of all, you need to have calculate the what is the scale of the project which is to be done. So according to that, you have to select the equipment. Then maybe that according to the site conditions, you need certain specialized equipment. So you have to check about the terrain, soil type, vegetation density, and existing structures, as all these things influence the specific machinery required for efficient clearance. Then you may need heavy machinery that offers as it offers speed and power for large scale operations, while specialized equipment provide precision for specific tasks. And then you have to take care of safety. For safety priority, all equipment selections must prioritize operator safety, site security, and environmental protection throughout the clearance process. The right equipment combination ensures optimal productivity while minimizing environmental impact and operating tools cost. Equipment rental versus purchase decision should be based on the project duration and long-term needs. So first we will discuss about the heavy earth moving equipment. For heavy earth moving equipment, you may need excavators. These are versatile machines with rotating cables and hydraulic arms equipped with the buckets for digging trenches, foundations, and precision earthworks. These are available on various sizes from mini excavators for tight spaces to large models for major earth moving. So this is the first equipment you need for excavations. And then in certain cases you may need bulldozers. These are the powerful truck vehicles with the front mounted blades for pushing the large quantities of soil, debris and vegetations. These are essentials for initial careers, rough grading and spreading fill materials across the construction sites. And then you may need backhoe loaders. These are the combination machines featuring a front loader, bucket and a rear excavator arm, providing versatility and for smaller projects. These machines excel at loading, trenching, backfilling and material handling in confined spaces. So additional essential heavy equipments including front end loaders for material handling, dump trucks for debris transportation, and motor graders for precision surface finishing. The right combination of these machines ensure efficient site preparation. And in certain cases, you may need specialized clearance equipments to enhance efficiency for specific site clearance tasks. Stump grinders remove tree remnants after felling, while mulchers and brush cutters quickly clear small to medium vegetations. Wood chippers process branches and small trees into reusable mulch. So skid steer loaders offer exceptional maneuverability in tight spaces with multiple attachment options. Trenches create precise channels for utility installations, and soil compactors ensure suitable ground conditions through mechanical compression. Then you may need demolition equipment where certain structures are already existing on the site where the site clearance is to be done. So there you may need hydraulic hammers. These are powerful attachments for excavators that deliver concentrated force to break concrete, foundation pavements, and rock formations. These are essentials for demolition work during the site clearance process and require where the you need precision and control these are required there. And then you may need concrete crushers. These are specialized equipment that reduces concrete to debris and into reusable. These debris are then may be converted into reusable aggregates. These machines enable on-site recycling of the demolished materials, reducing disposal cost and environmental impact. Then you may need demolition shears, so hydraulic attachment designed to cut through the reinforced concrete, steel beams and rebar. These tools provide precise control while dismantling complex structures. while minimizing vibration and noise. And then you may need mechanical hands that attach to the excavator for selective gripping and removal of demolition debris, thereby enabling efficient sorting of material for recycling or disposal. So traditional racking walls may still be employed for larger structural demolition where appropriate, though modern hydraulic methods generally offers greater quality and safety. And then you need safety and support equipment during the site. These include site management tools, so surveying instruments ensure accurate boundary marking and establishing elevation of the site, preventing costly errors. These include total stations, GPS systems, and laser levels that provide precise measurement and layout guidance. Portable lighting system extend work hours safely during early morning and early operations, evening operations, especially important during winter months with limited daylight. These systems must be properly positioned to eliminate shadows and hazardous dark zones. And then you may need certain environmental protection system. Water trucks plays a critical role in dust suppression, spraying controlled amount of water to minimize airborne particles during clearing operations. This protects workers' health, neighboring properties, and complies with the air quality regulations. Erosion control systems prevent soil migration and water pollution during site clearance. These including site fencing, erosion control blankets, temporary seeding equipment, and sediment basins that captures runoff before it leaves the site. Safety barriers, warning signage, and communication system round out the essential sport equipment, segregating work zones, and ensuring coordination between operations and complex clearing operations. Then we will discuss, so now we will discuss about the factors which are required to be taken into consideration while selecting the equipment. First thing is project scale, means size of the project. So size and scope determines the required equipment capacity. For small project you need compact machinery, and for large project you need heavy equipment fleet. And then first, depending upon the site conditions, terrain and soil type, you need certain equipment. So these things influence equipment selection, such as rocky terrain. For rocky terrain, you need specialized braking equipment, and in case of soft soil, you need wide tracked low ground pressure machines. Then, depending upon the budget, so, where budget also affect the equipment selection. So there may be certain budget constraints for the selection of equipment. So financial limitations versus productivity needs, equipment rental versus purchase analysis, and or operational cost consideration. These all things impact the selection of for the equipment required. And then you may need certain equipment for environmental protection. So and then equipment selection also depends upon environmental factors. So you have to check the environmental impact and then decide about the selection of equipment. So emissions and ecological considerations has to be taken care of. Then you require for fuel efficiency requirement, and in certain areas when you are doing construction, especially in the residential area, you have to control the noise limit pollution. So for noise limitation compliance, you have to select the equipment so that every compliance is fulfilled. So additional factors, there may be certain requirements like equipment availability in the local market or operator skill requirement, and seasonal weather considerations that may affect the equipment performance and site accessibility. Then you have to calculate the cost of site clearance. Then how you can calculate cost clearance, we will now discuss about that. First of all, you have to prepare a budget for the site clearance. So site clearance typically consumes between 2 to 10% of the total construction budget, with variation based on site complexity and existing conditions. Then there may be certain cost variables which may affect the cost of site clearance. So there are multiple factors that influence the final cost, including site conditions, geographical location, environmental requirement, and seasonal tax timing, etc. So for all these things, you have to refer to the CPWD Schedule of Rates 2023-24 with the latest premiums, which provides standardized costing guidelines for government and private projects across India. To complete site clearance budget must account for the equipment, rental, operator, and labor wages, material disposal fees, and permitting costs, etc. So, accurate cost estimation requires thorough site assessment and familiarity with the current regional variations, as CPW base rates may be adjusted according to the location specific factors. So generally we are in this slides presentation we will be discussing about the CPWD schedule of rates, but you may also refer to the state PWD rates of schedule of rates of your state for reference. So because due to local conditions, local specific factors, there may be certain difference between CPWD length schedule of rates and state PWD rates rate schedule of rates. So as we have already discussed that we will be concentrating on CPWD rate of schedule of rates. Now we will discuss what are the things which are there as to be taken care of in CPWD rate structures for site clearance. So this is a standardized reference for estimating all construction phases. So this is comprehensive baseline for every constructional estimation, and for that for local specific variation factors you have to make certain regional adjustment. Then there may be certain differences in the labor and equipment rates. So you have to refer to the labor and equipment standards of your state, your region. So there may be certain fixed rate for horses across the project types. Then cost for environmental compliance, it depends upon site specific conditions. So cost allocation for regulatory requirements, it may differ from site to site. So the Central Public Works Department schedule of rates for 2023-24 provides the most current official reference for estimating the construction cost in India. These rates are meticulously updated to reflect the market condition, inflation factors, and technological advancements in construction methods. While primarily designed for government projects, the CPWD rates serve as an industry standard reference for our private constructions as well, offering a reliable benchmark for budgeting and contract negotiations. So now we will discuss about the rates as far as C 2023-24 CPWD schedule of rates. So for different clearance type, we will be discussing about the rates. So and units which are used for that. For light brush removals, the unit we generally use is per square meter, and the rate CPWD rate it varies from 15 to 25 depending upon the site conditions. And for medium vegetation, the rate varies from 30 to rupees 30 to 45, and it is again measured in per square meter. And for heavy vegetation, the rate varies from 50 to 80 rupees per square meter. Then for small tree felling, the rate depends upon the girth of the tree. For if the girth of the tree is between 30 to 60 centimeter, we call it as small tree. And for small tree felling, the rate varies from 800 to 1500 per tree. See here the unit. So unit is very important. You must know the unit for a particular quantity. Similarly, for medium tree with felling, if the girth is between 60 to 120 centimeter, the rate varies from 2000 to 3500 per tree. Similarly, for large tree, if the girth is greater than 120, the rate varies from 4000 to rupees 10,000 per tree. Then for stump granting, the rate per stump varies from 500 to 2500 rupees per stump. So these rates includes labor, equipment operation and basic debris management, but may require adjustment based on site accessibility, density of vegetation and regional factors affecting the resource availability. Then for excavation and earthwork, the rate for surface dressing it varies so from rupees 10 to rupees 20 as far as CPWD issue of rate is concerned, and the unit for surface dressing is per square meter per ground preparation, and for regular excavation the rate varies from rupees 400 to 650. And this see here for excavation the rate per unit we use is cubic meter. So rate for a regular excavation is varies from rupees 400 to rupees 650, and in case of you have to do excavation in hard rock, the rate per cubic meter varies from rupees 60 to 1000 100 uh, sorry, so rupees 400 to 650 per square per cubic meter. For regular excavation, the rate is between rupees 150 to 250, and in case of hard rock excavation, the rate varies from rupees 400 to 650. And for soil compaction, the rate varies from 60 to 100. This rate is again per cubic meter for mechanical stabilization. So additional earthwork cost include topsoil removal for which the rate varies from rupees 70 to 120 per cubic meter, which should be separately stockpiled for later landscaping use. Backfilling rates vary from significantly between using available excavated soil between 120 rupees to 180 rupees per cubic meter versus importing suitable fill material for which the rate varies from 350 to 550 per cubic meter. So these rates assume normal working conditions and may increase for the projects with limited access, urban constraint and challenging weather conditions. For demolition and removal costs, so in case of where there exists an already existing structure and you have to remove that, it comes under the heading of demolition. So you have to demolish that structure and remove the debris from the site. So for concrete structure rate is varies is more than 800 rupees, and for brick wall rate is less in between approximately 300 rupees. For damage removals rate is 200 rupees. For hazardous material rate may varies up to rupees 2200 rupees, and for concrete crushing the rate may varies up to rupees 400. So the demolition cost varies significantly on the structure type, material composition and complexity. Reinforced structures with steel elements command premium rates due to additional labor and specialized equipment required. So disposal fees typically range from rupees 500 to 1000 rupees per truckload, but may increase substantially in urban areas with limited landfill access or when special handling is required for contaminated materials. For equipment and labor cost, so equipment may be you may have to take certain equipment on rental basis. For equipment rental rates as per CPW schedule rates, heavy machinery rental constitute a significant portion of the site clearance budget. For excavation, up to 80 excavator which having a capacity of 80 horsepower, the rate is 1500 to 2500 per hour. For bulldozer having capacity in between 75 to 100 horsepower, the rate varies from rupees 1800 to rupees 3000 per hour. Back, backhoe loader, it the rate varies from rupees 800 to rupees 1500 per hour. And the dump, dump trunk having a capacity of 10 to 12 cubic meter, rate varies from 600 to rupees 1000 per hour. So these rates typically include fuel and basic maintenance but exclude operator wages, which must be calculated separately. And for labor cost structure, so labor expenses vary by skill level and regional factors. Skilled equipment labor varies from 700 to 900 per day. Unskilled clearance labor it required for rupees 500 to 650 per day. And site supervisor foreman you require another rupees 1000 to 1400 rupees per day. So labor cost may increase by 15 to 30% in metropolitan areas or remote locations where qualified personnel are scarce. Most projects required a balanced team of both skilled and unskilled workers for optimal efficiency. Then, for budget from budget requirements, you need certain cost optimization strategies. Means how you can reduce the cost of site clearance. So, for that, first thing before the start of the work, you have to do three thorough pre-project assessment. So comprehensive site evaluation identifies potential challenges early, preventing costly surprises during clearance operations. This includes detailed vegetation mapping, soil testing, and utility locations. Then, based upon your pre-project assessment, you have to select the approach for clearing the site. So rather than complete site cleaning, target only areas necessary for constructions. This reduces equipment hours, labor cost, and disposal fee while preserving valuable natural features. And then there may be certain materials which you can recycle and reuse, so which you can determine during your pre-project assessment. So process cleared vegetation into mulch, crushed concrete for aggregates, and retain topsoil for landscaping. On-site material reuse significantly reduces both disposal cost and expenses for imported materials. So you, based upon your assessment, you have to select the equipment which are required during your site's clearing process. So choose machinery appropriately sized for a specific task. Oversized equipment waste fuel and increase rental cost, while undersized machinery extend project timelines and labor expenses. You have to strike a balance between these two conditions. So additional strategies include scheduling during optimal weather conditions to avoid delays and combining related activities to reduce equipment mobilization cost. Implementing a competitive bidding process for subcontractors can also yield significant savings. Then there may be certain hidden case consider cost which you must consider before preparing the budget. So in and certain sites you may have to carry out environmental mitigations. Well, project may require unexpected erosion control measures, habitat protections, or specialized pollution prevention systems that were not apparent during the initial assessments. Now, these requirements can add up to 5 to 15% of to the clearing cost. And if it is found during the assessment that soil contamination is there, then for contaminated soil, you need specialized testing, remediation process, and disposal of hazardous waste facilities. Even small areas of contamination can add substantial unplanned expenses. Then maybe during your site clearance process, you have certain archaeological discoveries, finding artifacts or historical remains triggers mandatory investigation periods and potential preservation measures. These discoveries can delay projects for weeks or months while adding significant cost. Then maybe unmarked or incorrectly mapped underground utilities may require emergency relocation, specialized protection measures, or modified construction approaches that were not budgeted in the initial estimates. So, weather may also cause delays and related standby changes for equipment and labor can also significantly impact clearance budgets, particularly during monsoon seasons or extremely temperature periods. Comprehensive insurance coverage is essential to mitigate these financial risks. So, in the end, we can conclude that for successful the site clearance, first thing is you have to make a thorough planning. So, comprehensive site assessment and detailed clearance strategy development before equipment mobilization is necessary. Then proper equipment selection is necessary for least cost. So choosing the right machinery for specific site conditions and as per the project requirements. Then accurate cost estimation for site clearance is also necessary by using the current CPWD rates with appropriate regional adjustment for realistic budgeting, and you have to take care of environmental responsibility during site clearance. So balancing efficiency with a sustainable practice and regulatory compliances is necessary. So site clearance establishes the critical foundation upon which all subsequent construction activities depend. Investing adequate resources in this initial phase prevents costly delays, safety hazards, and quality issues through the project life cycle. Professional assessment from experienced clearance specialists is strongly recommended for accurate budgeting and efficient execution, particularly for complex sites or those with environmental activities. So this is all about the topic site clearance. Thank you for watching this video. Have a nice day.